we have a special video contribution by Karima Bennoune, who's the UN Special Rapporteur in the field of cultural rights, who's been following the conference and raising questions and being in touch on a daily basis during the conference and before. And she wanted to address us this message that's been specially crafted for the circumstances. So I would ask
Hello. I thank the organizers for this important digital convening and send my sincere cultural solidarity to all of you in these difficult times. We mourn the now more than 1 million people around the world who have died from COVID-19, including leading cultural figures lost to the pandemic in every region of the world. We must honor their memories by continuing to promote a nourishing cultural life for everyone. Culture is the heart of our response to COVID-19. While we must be separated by physical distancing, culture can still bring us together safely, and culture allows us to maintain and even strengthen our connections with one another when we need them the most. I thank all the artists and cultural practitioners around the world who are making our lives better and strengthening us through their work during this challenging season. I pledge that we will stand with them now as their livelihoods are threatened, and going forward, we will stand with them to preserve and protect and rebuild cultural life and the institutions and spaces which enable their work in accordance with the dictates of public health. Indeed, culture is a core component of public health and vital to human well-being. One of the cultural values we must emphasize going forward is solidarity, which is critical to pandemic responses. This is a moment to emphasize provisions such as Article 15, Paragraph 4 of the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, which recognizes the importance of transnational cooperation in achieving cultural rights, including the rights to take part in cultural life and to benefit from scientific progress. That right is essential for securing the right to health. It is challenging to be asked to imagine a post-COVID era when the hope of getting beyond the pandemic sometimes seems very remote. However, it is clear that going forward requires a cultural rights perspective, both to the question of how we survive this difficult today and how we imagine a better tomorrow. The rights of everyone to take part in cultural life without discrimination and to artistic and scientific freedoms are guaranteed by international law. Everyone has a right to participate in and be consulted about policies to ensure these rights. All this remains true. Even in these trying times, cultural rights are not a luxury. They are key to the overall implementation of universal human rights and a crucial part of the responses to many current challenges, from discrimination and poverty to COVID-19 itself. Moreover, the safeguarding and promotion of culture contributes directly to many of the Sustainable Development Goals: safe and sustainable cities, the promotion of gender equality, and peaceful and inclusive societies. Transformation in a post-COVID era from a cultural rights perspective should be envisaged across several time frames. In the short term, we must work with urgency to guarantee financial support for artists, cultural practitioners, and cultural institutions. The centrality of culture as a coping mechanism in these times offers us a vital advocacy tool. Faced with the grave difficulties of the pandemic, we must remember, as the 2020 Rome Charter says, that culture sometimes is the solution and sometimes can help us to find the solutions. I also appreciate the Charter's emphasis on sharing cultures and creativity so as to strengthen social and democratic life. We've never needed to do those things so much. Taken together, all this means we need nothing less than a global cultural plan to keep alive the culture and the cultural life which helps to keep us alive. It should be locally driven and globally supported and coordinated. In the short and medium terms, we must continue to safely reconfigure public cultural life, including in digital spaces, with offerings for all sectors of society, including persons with disabilities. Human rights guarantees apply online, and public powers need to ensure access to cyberspace for all. Essential human rights commitments to non-discrimination and inclusion of diverse voices must be maintained, even in the face of crushing budget cuts. From the medium to the longer term, we will be watching for safer times when more public cultural life and greater shared use of public spaces becomes possible again. We must commit to supporting that renaissance, emphasizing that as important as digital cultural life may be, it is a complement, not an alternative, to a shared public cultural life when that becomes safe again. Such efforts must, of course, be shaped by public health expertise. Whatever the time frame, we must not give up on the dream of a better tomorrow based on new construction, not just reconstruction. A better tomorrow in which we consider, for example, more climate-friendly ways to do our work in the future. I so appreciate the Rome Charter's emphasis not only on shaping more democratic and inclusive cities, but cities which are sustainable. On this point, let me mention that my next report for the UN General Assembly, to be presented in just a few weeks' time on October 22nd, focuses on climate change and cultural rights. The cultural and cultural rights dimensions of the current climate emergency have too often been overlooked. In fact, the cultures and cultural rights of all are at risk, with some populations facing the threat of cultural extinction. For example, some of the world's great cities and cultural capitals may become too hot to be livable sometime in the next 50 years. The negative impacts of climate change on human cultures and on the enjoyment of cultural rights, as well as the positive potential of cultures and the exercise of cultural rights to serve as critical tools in responding to the climate emergency, must both be placed on the international agenda. Only a synthesis of environmental, cultural, and human rights perspectives on these issues can provide the holistic approach essential for responding to catastrophic climate change. The Rome Charter calls on us all to be brave enough to imagine different, better, more sustainable ways of living together. Let us heed that call. The outcome depends on all our actions. Let me end with one word. It is a word from a story that I grew up with called the Lorax. This word underscores the importance of the Rome Charter's appeal to us all to act and to consider what the outcome will be if we do not. This is the word that Dr. Seuss's mythical creature, the Lorax, left for a child, along with the last remaining seed for a disappearing tree in his environmentally degraded world. That word is simply unless. Unless. Thank you.